Back in, here we are. It is 8:11 on your Wednesday, May 15th. Hard to believe we're already halfway through the 5th month of the year. My pleasure to welcome into the program this morning for the Laramie Police Department chaplains. We've got Mike Berry and Brad Eakins with me this morning. So we talk a little bit about National Police Week. Guys, thanks so much for coming in this morning.
Thank you for having us in.
You guys sound better than I do, let's just put it that way. So, National Police Week, Brad, let's talk a little bit about this. We got a little ceremony coming up. Now, you guys both serve as chaplains with the Laramie Police Department. I want to touch on that in just a moment, but this National Police Week started on Sunday, goes through Saturday. I know that there's all kinds of things going on across the country. You've got kind of Peace Officers Memorial Day proclamation issued by President Trump, and Governor Gordon responded by lowering flags to half-staff today across the state. But National Police Week, we've got a special ceremony, Brad, coming up tomorrow, it sounds like. Fill us in on some of the details, wouldn't you?
Yes, tomorrow at Washington Park at the Bandshell, 5:30. It's a brief ceremony, but a little bit of flag waving and just honoring those who have made the ultimate sacrifice and or been disabled in the line of duty, and remembering them. And the public is welcome to come. 5:30 at the Bandshell. Okay,
so that's at Washington Park going on. It's not going to take a long amount of time. This is just kind of a simple gathering to kind of remember those that have passed and served here, whatever it is, whether it's in Laramie or Albany County or in the state or across the nation, basically. And this isn't the only ceremony that's going on. There's a lot of different events across the country.
That's correct. Today, of course, in Washington, D.C., for the National Memorial, they anticipate 25 to 40,000 people will be there, honoring those who have died this year in the line of duty. And it started in 1962 when President Kennedy signed a proclamation to designate May 15th as National Police Memorial. And that week that it falls is National Police Week.
Okay, so that gives us a little bit of background. So again, the local ceremony, it won't be long. I think you were telling me the other day, 15, 20 minutes or so, somewhere around there?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, so 5:30 tomorrow out at the Bandshell at Washington Park. Now, you serve, as well as Mike Berry, who's also with us, as Laramie Police Department chaplains. Talk about the role that you guys serve with the police department, Mike, if you wouldn't mind.
Sure. We just want to be a support to the officers and their families in the community. They give a lot of themselves, and they sacrifice a lot with their time and being in the public and protecting all of us, and so we're just there to be a support.
Okay. Talk about what type of services do you guys offer, or I guess maybe a role that you play. And it sounds like you guys go riding around with some of the police officers from time to time. I do remember that from the past, but maybe give me an example of some things without going into too much detail.
It's really just an act of service of just presence, just to be there with the officers and their families. And we do ride-alongs and lots of coffee and conversation and laughter, but then sometimes things get pretty serious. And so we just want to be a support to them as they give and support our community in a million ways that most people don't ever see. We want to be there to help them when they need it.
Well, obviously, I don't know what it is, but sometimes I think, and I've got a great relationship with a number of law enforcement folks in the community. I've been thankful that way, but some people, again, I don't know what it is, but there seems to sometimes be a little bit of a, I don't know, where you can't really relate to a law enforcement officer. I don't know what that myth is or something, but these are just everyday citizens, and I think sometimes people don't look at them like that almost, Mike.
Definitely, and there's a common thread even with any first responder, someone in the military, when their job is to fight back the darkness that most of us don't want to admit exists, or we don't want to really talk about it. We're just thankful they're there, but they deal with it day in and day out, and so they need a place to decompress so they don't take it home, or they don't let it sit too hard on their hearts, because then it can lead to all kinds of bad stuff in their own lives. And so we just want to be there to help mitigate that, to be a friend, but then also to help people kind of, I guess, get through over that stuff or get through it.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. Talking with Brad Eakins and Mike Berry here, a couple of Laramie Police Department chaplains who serve, and just as basically just kind of a help in any way they can, basically, is how you kind of look at it. And again, the Laramie Police Department and the Laramie Police Department chaplains, the foundation, the Laramie Police Department Foundation and the Police Department chaplains representing National Police Week and the ceremony tomorrow at the Bandshell over at Washington Park if you'd like to join in at 5:30. I'll go back to you here real quick, Brad, in terms of give me an example of just how would you kind of characterize some of these ride-alongs with different officers that you've had through the years?
Well, it's been interesting. Once we just have conversation as the situations allow, and once they find out that I'm into hunting and fishing or sports or shooting, same with Mike or with our other chaplain Ed, they relax, they open up, and they find out that we're real people, and we get to see that they're normal human beings too with families. And we just try to, a lot of times I'll start out, first of all, hey, this is your office. You're the boss. You tell me what you want me to do, and I'm here to just observe, support you. Then we'll just get into normal conversation about life, and a lot of times it opens up into some really great conversations that go deeper than just superficial stuff.
Yeah, and that's, as Mike pointed out, these guys do need an outlet sometimes. Whatever way it is, I guess.
Oh, absolutely. They're, as we've said, they're normal human beings, but they take their jobs very seriously. They want to be very professional, and I think part of our presence there helps remind them that they're there to do the best for our community. And I see officers and deputies who take that very seriously.
Talking with Brad Eakins, Mike Berry, a couple of Laramie Police Department chaplains. How long have you guys been doing this? How long have you been Police Department chaplain now?
I've been doing this 10 years.
All right. What about for you, Mike?
About 5.
About 5 years. And how long for Ed? You guys know off the top of your head?
About 7 or 8 years.
Okay. So you guys all, and you see police officers and law enforcement officers come and go as the time goes throughout the years, but obviously you develop probably some great rapport and great relationships with those that are around here for a while.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, we've done a lot of things outside of work and just recreation together. Our families get together. We, we'll get a text every once in a while just to go out to coffee or something, and and some hunting and fishing together too.
All right. Speaking of coffee, Mike, talk a little bit about that. I'll ask you this. Coffee with a cop has become big, and I think some citizens have taken advantage of that in the last couple of years. How big is that for law enforcement guys? In terms of just trying to connect with the community, with the everyday citizen, how big is that for them?
It's definitely very big for them. When they're out of uniform and you're out with them in public, and then somebody walks by that usually sees them in uniform, they're almost in shock that they have, regular clothes. But there's within my interactions with them in the public it's very positive. Like a lot of times, if they're at the hospital or they're out at a coffee shop and it's a place that they frequent when they're off duty, then the public has had a great response to the officers.
Awesome to hear.
Nobody likes it when the lights turn on behind you, but when I think as a general rule or a general understanding in the public is they understand that the officers in town are here to help.
Protect us all, folks, and you just never know when you're going to need that protection at some point in time. But if you want to celebrate National Police Week, join the community. It is free and open to everyone who wants to attend, honoring the present law enforcement officers, and those who have died maintaining peace and order for all of us here in Laramie, across the county, as well as in Wyoming and the nation. National Police Week being celebrated this week, and we've got a local ceremony tomorrow, 5:30 at the Bandshell at Washington Park. Anything else before I let you guys go that you'd like to kind of share your experiences, Brad? Maybe you've got something, just kind of remind folks about.
Well, just a reminder of, even in our state, the sacrifices that have been made by officers. And yesterday I got a text from Justin Scott, who is the former undersheriff in Douglas County, or Converse County, up in Douglas.
Gotcha, Converse County, yeah.
And he said, please say a prayer for Brian Gross, who died in 2011 trying to save someone who jumped into the river and a suicide attempt. And Brian went in to rescue her and then lost his life. And this just is a reminder, Justin, pray for Brian's wife Amy, his father Phil, mother Cindy, and sister Brenna. This is a challenging week for all of his family and friends. He was a great person and good heart. He is missed daily. And so that's the spirit of this week.
Absolutely. Well, guys, thank you so much for coming in and talking about this and kind of helping explain your role a little bit. And if you folks in the community want to get out to it tomorrow night at the Bandshell, 5:30, a little small ceremony, about 15-20 minutes, as Brad mentioned earlier. And then another event that kind of caps things off, and I talked with Norbert Kreibel from the Laramie Police Department Foundation. Don't forget, they do have their fundraiser, the Blue Bolt, the Laramie Police Department Foundation's 4th annual 5K run coming up Sunday, starting at Optimist Park along the Laramie River Greenbelt Trail. And I know you can register for that right now through active.com, but that helps them out, and they do some great outreach there. So, and there will be some law enforcement officers that will be taking part of that 5K run. Great chance to kind of connect with the men and women in law enforcement at that as well. Guys, thanks so much for coming in.
And thank you for having us on. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks.